What's up guys, it's Kristen here today with my May TBR. Now I am still very sad that Genreathon is over and done with, but it seriously gave such a boost to my reading. I feel like I can read so much more in a month now than I ever thought I could, and it has given me the confidence to now pick up what is probably the most intimidating book on my TBR list. It's one of those ones that I wasn't sure if I was ever even gonna get around to reading it because it is so massive, but I am now feeling confident enough to start Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I mean, look at this thing. It is literally a brick. But because it is so long, I plan on giving myself at least 2 to 3 months to finish it. Because obviously I want to be realistic about how much I can get through in a month, but also I've heard this is the kind of book that you really should just take your time with and savor it. And from what I understand about the plot, it is set in the year 1806 and it is all about these two magicians, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, who are competing against each other during the Napoleonic Wars. It's this strange combination where it is set in a real historical time, but then there are also made-up events, and I think they really can perform magic. I'm not sure. There was a BBC miniseries TV show thing made of the book, and I'm very excited to get to that, obviously, once I have finished reading this mammoth thing. I find it funny, though, how intimidated I get by very large books when oftentimes they end up being my favorites of all time. I love being able to just delve into a world and take my time and live there for a while. But I don't think I've ever actually heard anyone else on BookTube talk about reading this book, so if you have already read Jonathan Strange, please tell me in the comments down below what you thought of it and was it worth this massive 1,000-page read. And next up, I am absolutely dying to get to Eleanor by Gurley. This is another one where the plot is a little bit confusing to me. I believe this is a magical realism book about a girl named Eleanor who, when her identical twin sister dies, her family just becomes completely torn apart by the grief, and then she somehow travels to alternate universes or parallel worlds, or there's another version of her. Again, a little bit confusing, but it just sounds hauntingly beautiful, and dark magical realism is one of my favorite genres or types of stories, so I cannot wait to get to this. Now, I read the first book in the Fairyland series by Catherynne and Valente last month during Genreathon. I absolutely fell in love with it. I want to go back to Fairyland, so I'll be reading the second book in the series. It is The Girl Who Fell Beneath Fairyland and Led the Revels there. I'm still waiting for it to come in at my library. And obviously September will be returning to Fairyland in this book, and I'm so excited. I absolutely fell in love with Valente's writing in the first book. It is so beautiful and sumptuous, and it's probably one of the most comfy, cozy reads I've ever read. And I swear I'm like a 5-year-old and I love to read children's books before I go to bed at night because it just calms me right down and puts me right to sleep. And recently I have been in such a mystery/thriller mood, so I am finally going to pick up the Cuckoos Calling, the first book in the Cormoran Strike series by Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. I know these came out several years ago and I don't know why I never had any desire to pick them up, but lately I just keep seeing more and more amazing reviews of the first book as well as the second and third ones that are out in the series. They all revolve around this detective named Cormoran Strikes, and in this first book, Cuckoo's Calling, he is investigating the death of a supermodel that has been deemed a suicide, but of course they think that there is more to the story than that. Then I am dying to get to the book The Nest by Cynthia Sweeney. I hope I pronounced that right. This is the story about a family where all of the siblings knew their whole lives that they had a very large inheritance coming to them, so they never really had to worry about money or what they were going to do with their futures. But then one of the siblings makes some kind of huge mistake and it kind of drains that inheritance money, which obviously then causes a lot of animosity in the families, and the siblings don't even know what to do with their lives anymore. I always seem to be drawn to books about dysfunctional families. I don't know why, they are just fascinating because on one level it makes you feel a little bit better about your own family, but then on another you can see a lot of the similarities. And last but not least, of course, I'm always reading some nonfiction, and I still need to finish up Lawrence in Arabia. This is quite a dense, chunky book. I am getting close to the ending on this one and hopefully we'll finish it up early in May, so then I can move on to my other nonfiction book, which will be The Almost Nearly Perfect People Behind the Myth of the Scandinavian Utopia by Michael Booth. I just hauled this one in my most recent video, so you might have already seen it, but it is about how the rest of the world perceives these Scandinavian countries as literally a utopia where they can do no wrong, and my grandfather was actually born in Denmark, so my whole life it's been talked about as if it was this magical land. So as I said in my haul, this book is going to have a very tough time trying to convince me that it is not my dream home. So that is it for all the books that I plan on reading in the month of May. Again, I am pushing myself by picking up Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. But I would love to hear if you guys have read any of these books already or what books you are most excited to read this month. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!